Unfortunately, this is where I get a bad rep because I should be happy about a game, and I can't say that I am. I'm not totally disappointed. I think the first half, first 5 minutes, they played better than us, but remember now they banked in a three. They hit one from almost half court on a loose ball. They did the things they had to do. I was impressed with them. You know, you go to bed last night and you watch the game. Belmont beats UCLA, and this team scored 100 points on Belmont. And so it's what I continually say to players, coaches, media, fans. Basketball's a little more screwed up. A three-point shot and fouls screws up basketball. And so that is an equalizer. I thought after those first 5 minutes we played some of our best basketball. We were running, and I think our running game, and again, give them a little credit, they played Friday night in Omaha, Nebraska, and then traveled here yesterday. And the way we run when we're running is impressive. And I thought Nick did a better job. Cassius was really good early, and in the second half, Nick played okay for parts. Josh played better, and I thought the rest of our guys. It wasn't our freshmen that gave up the lead and didn't do the things they had to do. So, as I told my team, you learn a lot about your team in those big games. You learn a lot about your team in games that you should win. And what I didn't like is we have to learn how to finish. First, finish games, finish practice, and finish seasons. And I didn't like the way we finished the last couple of seasons. So our motto has been, let's try to finish every event every day that we're doing. Today we did not finish. And we're going to address that. For me, it's the greatest time of year, and it's not because it's Christmas. There's no school, there's no finals, there's no excuses. Most of the girlfriends are gone, most of their buddies are gone, and we get 4 days to practice with no rules, no anything. So we're going to practice. We're going to do the opposite of my fellow Hall of Famer, Allen Iverson. We're going to practice. We're going to practice, and we're going to practice. And we're going to get better because this team has a chance to get better. I mean, there's times Cassius is as good as anybody. Josh, getting McQuaid and Arnie back in that. Aaron struggled early, but he played a lot better later on. And, if Nick plays like that and can consistently do that, it's going to be good, We have individual goals. The last thing I'll say, for players, you want a guy to get a double-double. You want a guy to get a triple-double. Cassius at halftime was close to that. Nick was close to getting double digits in rebounds. And as well as he played, if he doesn't rebound better, it's not going to help him and it's not going to help us. And so all those things are what I talk to a team about. How did you play in the big games? And how did you play? The consistency should be anytime you take the court, you play at a level. We had some goals of what we hold teams to defensively. We blew that. What we hold them from three-point line, we blew that. What we hold them to in total points, we blew that. So I got enough to earn my money this week, and I promise you I'm going to earn it. Questions?
Tom, with all due respect to Green Bay, they aren't Duke, but you worked extra hard with your freshmen this week. You got 2 of them in double digits. Could you just talk about the play of your freshmen after what you saw in practice this week, please?
Well, we did get some time, and I said that was one of the things I wanted to accomplish this week. Those poor kids in the 16 days had not practiced hardly at all because of the way the schedule was. I do think we got some things out of them. It was nice to see Foster make his free throws and make some shots. Gabe made some shots. I thought Aaron did do a good job, and getting Marcus in there and getting him a few more minutes. I didn't look at how many minutes everybody got, and it's one of those games where I tried to play everybody. Some schools do that, some schools don't, and we get ripped for it sometimes, but those kids work their tail off every day, and as long as I'm here, I'm going to play some of those guys that have done so much for us in practice. So we got something out of it. We got better, but I think this week is, finals week isn't a good time to get better, especially for those freshmen. They come in there. It's hard. Like I said, most of you went through finals week. The the way I see some of you guys writing, most of you probably struggled in finals week. So I know the feeling and I know what they went through, but it's a tough week for them.
You mentioned about the ability to get out and run that stretch. I think probably like from about the 12-minute mark into halftime, I guess. Was that the best you guys have run this year? And in particular, Nick, I mean, when he's running the court like that, well, how does that change your offense?
Well, it changes us both ways. Nick ran both ways, but when Nick's running, now their wings are getting out wider, and Cassius was getting the ball, and we decided that instead of one of the things you do as a coaching staff, so why did we not be as successful against Louisville, or why did we not be as successful against Florida? Well, those teams pressed us a little bit. We knew Green Bay was going to press us, and instead of doing what we did in those games, we said we're going to attack the press. We're going to try to get it out quick and go instead of set up for it. I think that served us well, but I think one of the reasons it served us well is they were walking on their knees too. Now, the only good thing about Green Bay as far as that goes, they play 12 people all the time. So those guys coming in, even though they were tired from the trip, I mean, it's not like they're just playing 7 guys. So I was impressed with the running game first half for us.
Tom, did McQuaid look back to normal pretty much for you? And how do you see the kind of breakdown with him and Arnie go forward?
I don't know, is there a quarterback controversy there? You know what, I'll tell you something cool in my job. 2 days after when we started practicing this week, and I said to Kyle, I want to meet with you later, and I was going to talk to him about, what I was going to do with those 2 guys. And he said, well, I just left you a note up there that I want to talk to you. And I said, really? And I had no idea what he wanted to talk about, but him and McQuaid had gotten together, and Arnie came to me to tell me that McQuaid should start because it was his starting position, and he's fine coming off the bench, and I should think nothing of it. Don't make it a quarterback controversy or nothing else. That's the way he wanted it. Him and Matt talked about it. So there's one time where they were a player-coach team, and they solved something that I didn't even have to deal with. Not that I would have had a hard time dealing with it either. They're both great kids, but that's a pretty classy move on both their parts to do that and think what's best for the team, what's best for their friend. Those are the things that kind of make you feel good about where you are and what you do.
Tom, over here, you mentioned down in Florida the need to get Cassius more rest, and you got him 2 spells in the first half there. And the first time you went with McQuaid, the second time with Foster. What do you need to see over these next few games from Foster to trust him in Big Ten play?
Yeah, some of it's going to depend on lineups and different things. Foster's going to figure out how to play, but it was hard to try to figure that out in those 6 big games. So we played some teams that, Texas, the most athletic team we played, UCLA, huge guards, 6'5". So those things sometimes will make a difference until he gets his real sea legs and his thought process. But he's smart enough, he'll figure it out. I don't know what it's going to take. I just know that I'm going to keep trying to get him some minutes, but I'm also going to get Matt some minutes there and see if we can keep it going. I like a true point guard can really push it. Matt has been running the lanes pretty well. Josh is. We're getting the ball up. We missed some shots. They made some tough shots early, and then when we really started running, we got the ball inside a little more. So as far as, it's funny because there's a lot of teams out there playing 7 guys right now, and I've never done that. And I've had a couple of coaches call me and say, hey, you're going to be better off in the long run because you're playing more people. But sometimes in the short run, it never feels as warm and fuzzy. And so that's my balancing act. That's what I got to talk to my assistants about and try to figure it out. Eventually, we're going to get down to 8 or 9 guys and have to make a couple tough decisions. But hopefully we can give them a chance to help make that decision easier by how they play good or how they play bad.
Tom, sort of a compliment to Graham's question. As far as the play of Gabe Brown today, hit a few threes. Is there any kind of consideration of that and kind of how that affects the rotation?
I just, don't mind me laughing. I just get it. If it's so funny as a fan or as a media member, and I mean this with respect, but because a guy hits 2 threes or 3 threes, it's not going to change my opinion. I'm with him morning, noon, and night. I see him every day, when he's consistently doing that, it'll change. But right now, Aaron Henry is the first freshman that's gonna be given an opportunity because his practice play has deemed that. What's cool about Gabe is I brought him in last week because, you know, every freshman's disappointed. I mean, read the papers. You know, I read something on another Big Ten school this morning that almost blew me away. Very good coach, struggled, lost the game yesterday, and, you know, a former player had to come to his rescue. Players practice, I think we've got about 45 practices in. And if you have certain play in 45 practices and you play better in a game or worse in a game, and in Gabe, it's gonna make a decision, the practices will make a decision what I do. In Gabe's case, I asked him to go on the scout team this week, like I did many of great players here. You know, Morris was on it forever, and you know what, he got so much more competitive. He started going at those big guys, he started, and I swear to you, as dumb as it sounds, that's kind of an insult to most kids. You know, you gotta go on the scout team, you gotta go, and here, you know, from Morris Peterson, I'll never forget the story Judd told. And when they were playing Indiana State for the championship, the day before practice, Magic didn't practice 1 minute with the starters. He was the scout team guy, and he played Larry Bird. And so sometimes when you do things, players can react. This day and age with the frickin' Twitter, it's always a joke, and everybody's upset about it. And just think of the questions you guys have asked me. Gabe scored 3, and what about this guy, and how's Foster gonna, you know what? I've got some really good veterans that have earned the right to play and have earned the right to make a few more mistakes than somebody else. When they consistently do things in practice, in games, they'll move up. Until they do that, I'm not changing nothing. And people can be mad, people can be excited. Not to be ignorant, but I'm so tired of Twitter and so tired of, and that's not a bad question you ask, but just think about it. One game, nobody asked me any questions about him last week or the week before, one game hits 3 threes and Shazam, we got Magic Gabe Brown, you know? And so it's kind of an insulting answer. I didn't mean it that way, but if I don't say it that way, I'll have 100,000 people out there. You know, the good news is, though, I told them at halftime, you want to be our player-coach team, you better coach each other. I told them at the end of the game, ha-ha, you need me, because you didn't do a very good job of that. And so I guess I get to keep my job for another day anyway.
Excuse me, you talk about finishing and the veteran guys you have. Is a stretch like this, when you only have a few games, and it's not the Kansas and Kentuckys of the world, is this as much of a test for those veteran guys to prove what they've been talking about, what they say they've been working on all season?
That was my point I made Friday, once finals was over. I brought those 7 guys up into my office, and it was Cassius who said, you know, I think we got to hold each other more accountable on a daily basis. And that was a very profound thing to say, but a very hard thing to do. I must have said that in 10 huddles today. Who's holding who accountable? You know, hard to do, especially in this day and age when everybody takes things so personal. So we are going to learn about our team. You know, we learned about them when they played good teams. We learned about them during a comeback. We learned about them with a bad loss at Louisville because we didn't take care of our business. Now we're going to learn about them with a big win. And I guess what it says is we're constantly learning about them, and we're constantly trying to show them that you got to play the game, not the team, not the score. You got to play the game on a consistent level, night in, night out. Today we played the game halfway, and the next game we're going to shoot for a full game, and hopefully we'll fall closer. We weren't bad. I'm not mad at anybody, but we didn't do the things that would obtain the goals that we have on our goal chart, and so we're going to hold our guys accountable to that.
Time for a couple more.
Tom, as far as Nick goes, another 20-point game, just showing a little more consistency, especially on the offensive end. We've heard about his transformation off the court, but what has it been on the offensive end on the court?
Well, again, you know, he's made a great transformation. I mean, Nick has done since last April, since he decided to come back, I've been proud of Nick. I've been proud of him at school, been proud of him off the court. I've been proud of him with the weight he lost again, with the time he's put in. But, you know, you stay in games if you can play defense. So I'm actually prouder of him with his defensive stuff, and yet second half today we started getting sloppy. So if you wonder why he's out sometimes, it's either the free throw shooting or the defense. If you're matching baskets like we did in the second half and the game was tied at halftime, that's not a good deal for us. So Nick offensively, I think is better, but I don't think he's that much better. I think he's better defensively. He's better with his conditioning, with his body. He's done a better job taking care of himself, and he can run longer, better. I mean, today, that first half, he was getting up and down, and we were getting up and down. Cassius was getting up and down. Second half, we're back to kind of walking and waddling, and that's what we did against Florida. So, you know, we got to do a better job of that, and the film will show it tomorrow. We'll have film sessions, we'll have practices. We'll probably spend some of the afternoon singing Christmas carols so they don't embarrass themselves at the show tomorrow night like I do, playing accordion. But we'll work on all those things tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be, you know, better condition. We'll get more practice time in, and that's going to help us, I think, a lot.
I want to ask you a little bit more about Matt. Just getting him back, could you sense it a little bit more, kind of that glue factor with him in there?
Yeah, he's a calming influence, Matt McQuaid. He's just, like, he was the first one that spoke up he said, I gave up 3 threes tonight, and it took to the third one before Josh got on me, so we did not hold each other accountable. That was a real cool thing to say. And I think, you know, I do love player-coach teams. I really do. You better watch when I say that. A couple of years ago when I said it, I got a nasty letter from a guy who said, if players are coach of the team, why do they pay you? And right, true, it was signed by my mother. But anyway, I really believe that Matt is the one guy that just has a pulse. He doesn't, if he's not making shots or something, he doesn't fall off the deep end like some guys do. And so he's our most calming influence, and he's got some of the most experience, and he's been through some tough things with the injuries he's had. So I think getting Matt back is going to help. We got to keep running. We got up 75 shots tonight. We still had 14 turnovers. And to me, that was good. If we can get those shots up near 70, we'll keep everybody happy, you know. And but the minute we have one guy move up, when are we going to have all 5? You know, Kenny really struggled that first half. And he's been so good. So we're just looking to get more consistent. A couple more. No? Yes.
So with the rotation, usually it's the other way around. Usually with the rotation, by this point in the year, you're starting to pare it down. Now it seems like, how much different is it for you from a coaching standpoint to see, okay, maybe we can add 1 or 2 more guys?
You know, I'm not trying to add guys necessarily, because I know you're only able to play so many. You got to have 8, and then you got to have 1 or 2 in case you have an injury, in case something happens. I'm watching Gonzaga last night, and I mean, when we played them, they had 10 guys, and now they're down to 8 or 7 because of a couple injuries. And they go up against a North Carolina team, and they died. You know, they just have enough bodies. So I want to make sure we have enough bodies. But I think the biggest chore that our staff has done a very mediocre job with, or I have, in the past couple of years, is getting a rotation that I can get, you know, the minutes straightened out. And last year it was because of, you know, trying to get Gavin back and Cueto back and all the guys that were out for so long and how long they could play. I think right now I got 7 or 8 that I'm in there, and if I got 1 or 2 more that are going to play spot minutes, that's the way it's probably going to be. But getting a rotation, as you said, or somebody said, can I get Cassius 2 breaks in the first half? It might not change his minutes that much, but it might change the length of what he plays. And that, you know, DJ and I are going to really have to work on this week. Now that we kind of got everybody back, we kind of see where we are, and see if we can do a little better job. Yep. Did you have a question? Can't scratch your eye around here, man. When somebody else say you got a question. All right, guys, have a good time, and I'll see you on Friday.